What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Ride Home podcast. My name's Mitch, and I'm here with my friends
Trip and Daniel.
Yeah, so this is a new podcast we're trying to start. We're excited, and I'm going to let Daniel introduce it as it was part of his little brainstorm idea.
Cool. Well, so this was a podcast that came up actually between all three of us, kind of, and it was actually really Trip that came up with the name and the theory of where to come, where to go with this. And so, the three of us all met at Hope Community Church in Hedgesville, West Virginia, and so shout out for them. And so, and it's been an awesome ride trying to get to this point too. I would have never expected being here.
Yeah, definitely wasn't on my bingo card.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. It's kind of an idea that I just thought would never actually happen.
Yeah, and it's like it just. I'll give it to him. God kind of just felt like He kind of called this on me too, was to chase after this too. So I'm looking forward to many episodes with you guys and sharing our testimonies and our life experiences and that with you guys as well. And actually we'll be learning a lot with each other as well with that. And so I'll let Trip take over what he's planning on.
Yeah, so just a little more on the podcast. The ride home, we kind of have the idea of this just being something. I know I listen to podcasts mostly when I'm driving.
Yeah.
So the idea here is if this is for young adults, high school age kids primarily. We all just got out of that season of life, or still kind of in the young adult season.
It's my 10-year high school reunion this year, which is just crazy, but
yeah, so
it feels like yesterday.
So we're just trying to get what wisdom that we've found coming out of that season into those who are still in it. Yeah. And hopefully it'll help you out, and you can just have some fun and laughs on the way. But the idea of the ride home is if you guys are on the way home from school, on the way home from classes in college, you can just give this a listen while you're doing that.
Walking across campus, right?
Yeah. Oh, man, a lot of time walking across campus.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's fun, too, because Daniel was saying he felt it on from God, like put it on his plate. For me, I was just kind of invited, and I was like, oh, okay, sounds cool, but I didn't know how much work you guys were putting into it, like, to make this happen. And here we are, so it's kind of surreal. It was like 2 weeks ago. I was like, "So, what are we going to talk about? Who are we talking to?" But here we are. I'm excited. But the closer we got, the more and more excited I was getting to do this.
100%. Yeah, I'm super excited, and I think this is an idea I've had in the back of my mind for a couple years now, but I keep finding excuses for it. And I was even thinking like this year, like maybe. But I recently enlisted in the Air National Guard, and I'm getting ready to ship out to basic training for like 4 months, and longer than that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this isn't a good year for it. But I got these two great guys who can help take over some while I'm not here, and we got to pull some few strings and make it work. So I'm really excited to get into it.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. God's timing always is.
Exactly.
So these first few episodes are going to be a little different, though. We want to all get to know each other better, and so you guys can get to know us better. So we're just going to go through and do our testimonies for you all. And none of us have really heard each other's testimonies fully either.
Right.
So this is going to be a cool experience, not just for you guys to get to know us, but we get to know each other a little better, too.
Exactly.
I think it's just a cool opportunity. So, and so I'm going to get started with this today. And it all started when I was born.
I just knew that's how it was going to start. But I guess that's how they all start.
It always is. No, but so my relationship with God didn't really exist much as a kid. My family didn't go to church or anything. I probably went to church like 10 times in total, like from being born until I was out of high school.
Really?
We never went to church.
Yeah.
I consider myself a Christian for the most part, but it's just like I would check it on a box. I never read the Bible. I knew very, very little about Christianity. And there were a few times towards later on in my high school career where I was starting to be closer to what you would call a pagan than a Christian. I was reading these books by this guy. I'm not gonna give him a shout out.
Yeah.
But like he was convincing me of this stuff, and I started wearing like rune necklaces. I'm like, oh, if I want to, I want this girl to like me, I'm gonna wear this rune today, or I want to go in this test. This rune's gonna help me. Like it was pretty sketchy. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like I was in deep.
I've already learned so much about Trip.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But also during this time, I had a lot of other stuff going on. So starting in like, I think it was in 3rd grade, I had a friend introduce me to porn, which is not something the 3rd graders should know.
Yeah, that's early.
Yeah, it was crazy early. And it was like, we like borrowed my sister's laptop, and it was like, hey, I gotta show you something. Like, go borrow your sister's laptop, and it was like, I don't know how no one found out, but and then the next few years, like, I found out some stuff about like my dad struggled with it as well, and then by the time I hit 6th grade, I was already addicted to porn.
Yeah.
Which is way too young, but like it happens. I know what happens, so I'm sure some of you guys had that same experience.
Right. It's a crazy statistic. Like, well over 50% of youth have been exposed to pornography by the 6th grade.
It's
so easy to access.
It's crazy, and they try to do things, but they don't. Like some of the stuff, it's almost like they make it like a game, and it's
I was reading a book this year. I didn't finish it. Shame on me. But the first few chapters talked about how a lot of online content, all you need to do to prove your age is check the box. Like, I'm 18 years or older, check.
Yep.
There's no sort of verification, no need for like an ID or a parent to approve. It's that easy.
Yeah.
And you can do it, like, you could get it anywhere. I remember I was like in middle school on my DS. I found some way. And like
internet browser,
you can do it anywhere. So it's so easy to, and it's just the worst thing for you. So stay away. I mean, that followed me for a long time until I met Christ. That's something that I struggled with.
Can do a whole episode on that.
Yeah. We probably do multiple episodes.
Right.
So then keep going through high school and everything. I had a big superiority complex. Like I was always like, oh, I don't care about these people. I'm better than them. So like, I wasn't super popular, but not because I didn't hang out with a lot of people, just because I didn't like them.
Wow.
I was just like around people all the time, and I'm like, man, like, nah, I'm not feeling it. Like, I was in a lot of different crowds, and I was thinking I was always the best in all of them, when I definitely wasn't. But at the time, that's where my headspace was. So flash forward to college. I had a long-term girlfriend at that time who, our relationship wasn't great, but it was my first long-term girlfriend. So I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever.
She's the one.
Yeah, this is the one. This is amazing. Like, we're long distance now, but it's okay.
Like, we've gone through the trials.
This is good.
For
This
college,
is good.
distance. Yeah.
And then it's like some sketchy stuff starts happening, but I'm like, oh no, this is like, we're good.
Right.
We're good.
She's the one.
Yeah. It couldn't be. And then she breaks up with me one day, and I'm like, this is like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Next morning, I get a text message. Oh, we're fine. Oh, so well, she's the one. Of course we're fine. Of course we're fine.
Yeah.
No,
Just a season.
Yeah, it was just like a one night little blip.
Yeah.
But like, there was some weird stuff. I could do multiple episodes.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah.
But so she breaks up with me again. And that time it's like a week later she has another boyfriend, and it's like, oh, you've probably been seeing this man for a while.
You're starting to connect the dots, but you don't really want to believe it.
Yeah.
So at that point I'm like, okay. So I also was like the most alone I had ever been physically at this time. Because I hadn't been hanging out. This was freshman year of college. My first semester of college, I spent all my time with my best friend, who was my roommate. But he dropped out after the first semester.
Wow.
And then early in the first semester was when this happened. So I was living alone, and I didn't know anyone because I just spent all my time with this one kid. So like, I was just basically alone at this point. I spent all my time working out and playing video games. Like, I didn't do anything else.
Are you at this time in college still like carrying those demons of superiority and pornography with
Yeah,
you.
for
Okay.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And
On
now,
top of being
and now
isolated.
I've got like I'm starting to deal with like depression and stuff as well
Man.
because like I'm just alone. I don't have
Yeah.
any resources. And the summer before, I had been given the best advice that I didn't listen to by a man. His name is Doug. He was like everyone's grandfather at this camp I used to go to, and he told me the last day I was there. He said, when you go to college, like get plugged into a good church, and that's gonna change everything for you. The first week I was there, I think I signed up for like a text message chain with a Crew, which was some student ministry they had.
Okay.
I was getting emails from them the entire time I went to college. Didn't go to one meeting.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even saved at this point. I remember trying to read the Bible freshman year, just because I was curious. You know, I wanted
Interesting.
to have that faith. I knew something was calling me,
Yeah.
but I was just going through Genesis, and at this point in time, my idea of the Bible is King James Version is the Bible. Like that's all I knew.
Mhm.
So I'm reading this, and I'm like, man, Genesis is so boring.
Yeah.
Like this person had this kid and this person had this kid, and I'm like, I don't understand why that matters.
Yeah.
Like it's just a bunch of people having kids. Like I get it, Adam and Eve, like cool, and then 50 people are born in a row. It's like,
Right.
okay, I'm bored now. I'm gonna go play Fortnite, which is what I did.
Yeah.
Fortnite and FIFA were like all I was doing. That in the gym.
Amen, brother.
I love me some FIFA, honestly.
Oh yeah. So flash forward to the end of that year, just a couple months later, and I'm still like not doing great with this. And I reach out to this guy, also from that camp, but far not as good advice.
Well, what is this camp? Was it like a Christian camp or was
No,
it just
so this was a 4-H camp.
4-H camp?
So
Okay.
yeah, I was really big in that as a kid, and it did have like that was the closest thing to a Christian experience I had. 'Cause
Yeah.
we did do like prayers, and sing Christian songs, but it wasn't like specifically a church camp. by
Yeah,
any means.
but perks of small town.
Yeah,
raising,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That tends to happen.
yeah,
in
and
this
it
kind
and
of
the
environments.
4-H in this state is run through WVU, so I had a lot of connections in college where I
right.
went to school.
Yeah.
Through the 4-H. So I reached out to another guy who had been one of my counselors, who was just a couple years older than me, and I was like, "Hey man, like I'm going through this really rough breakup," and he knew about it kind of because the girl was also from 4-H camp.
Okay.
At this point in time, that was all my connections were right there.
Yeah.
And he was like, he gave me probably the worst advice I'd ever gotten. He told me, like, I was like, "Hey, how do I get over this?" He was like, "Time is the only thing to do, but alcohol helps."
Oh no.
So and at this point in time, I was like 19.
Yeah.
And I had
Freshman in
never had any alcohol. Like I never.
Okay.
I mean, I maybe have like had like a teeny bit,
Mhm.
but I definitely never had more than a drink.
Yeah.
Never been drunk
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all. And this guy asked, like, he's like, "Hey, like, I'm doing this beer Olympics thing at my house in a couple weeks. There's already all the spots are filled. You can't play, but like, you can come and I'll buy you some alcohol and stuff." And
Isn't it crazy how the devil can just orchestrate a script in your life like that? Like
yeah,
you got that horrible advice, and then how much later was it? Like a day, a week, and it's
Yeah,
like,
like,
oh yeah, we're
a
having
couple
this
weeks.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I started drinking, not a ton at the end of freshman year. I mean, I went to that one party.
Yeah.
Over the summer, I drank a couple times, but it started really picking up the whole sophomore year.
Yeah.
I was drunk. I met a guy that I used to work with over the summer. I did landscaping, and I was like, "Hey, like, can you run over the 7-Eleven and buy me some alcohol?" I got this giant thing of vodka, and like, I drank constantly after that. I met friends in college who just bought me stuff.
Yeah.
I had like a friend who got his roommate to drive me to the liquor store and go buy me stuff. I really like to go clubbing, but like you can't buy drinks at the club
Yeah.
because it's young. So they put the X's and stuff. You have to have the wristbands.
Yeah.
So we would just get super drunk beforehand at first, and then I started picking up on a trend they had, where the wristbands were always like one of like 5 colors.
Just a day of the week.
So I was like, okay. So I found on Amazon this pack of like 6 different colors of wristband that were like pretty similar. I bought this giant pack of wristbands, and I would just keep one of every color in my wallet. And then whatever they were giving people, I went into the bathroom, washed the X's off, and just popped that wristband on, and then I could just go right up to the bar. So like I was in deep,
Yeah.
fast too. I mean,
Yeah.
I never drank till like I'm drinking all the time, and I wasn't drinking like on Mondays. Okay, I would drink on the weekends. I wasn't that far gone, but I was
Yeah.
still, it wasn't good.
Right.
Yeah.
And all this time, like I'm still dealing with the porn addiction. I'm
Yeah.
dealing with depression and stuff on and off, and now I've got alcohol, and all the things just compound. Like
Yeah.
everything, the alcohol,
Yeah.
I get home, and then I'm like, no, depression gets worse. And I'm like, I can't believe that I did all this, and I feel bad about myself, and it was just like a spiral.
Yeah.
And
No
all,
fulfillment, right?
yeah, no fulfillment.
Yeah.
It made me more self-centered. Like the more because I was trying to date at this time, started to do that again too, and I was just like, oh well, like I'm just better than these girls. Like it was just
Yeah.
spiraling. So that was all sophomore year basically. It was just the gym, video games, and drinking. Now mind you, like I was doing schoolwork. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was doing extremely well in school, considering like I still had my first 4 semesters. I had 4.0 every single one except for one of them. Like I did very good at first.
Yeah.
Ironically, I started doing poorly in the next part of my story when I got distracted a little bit.
Okay.
So over the next summer after sophomore year, I hit a low point one night. I went to a bonfire at my friend's house, and they were all drinking and stuff like that. They had like twisted teas. I don't know if you know. I hope you don't. But it's like a sweet tea. And
Remember that video where it was like a weapon? That's like my
Yeah.
fondest
Okay.
idea of twisted tea is.
Yeah, well, I got there and I'm like, man, I don't like tea. Like this is like everyone's drinking. I'm just like, this is disgusting. I can't drink this.
Yeah.
So eventually my friend's like, okay, well let me run over to my mom's house. And I'll get you some liquor from over there. And we get like those like Tervis tumblers they used to like soccer clubs, like youth soccer teams would always sell. They were like this tall, and they were like plastic, and they had like a layer in the middle and then another layer.
Yes.
And so we got one of those, probably like this big, and like filled it like all the way up with vodka.
Okay.
We go back over to the house, the bonfire, and I'm like, man, I gotta catch up. Okay, I put a splash of Coke in the bottle,
Yeah.
and I downed the whole thing in like half an hour. That's a lot of alcohol.
Yeah. That's
It's a fair amount.
Okay.
Coke and
So there's a giant fire. I'm extremely intoxicated at this point, and everyone else is like, "Oh man, I'm really tired." So everyone else goes to bed, and I'm like, "Okay,
not trip.
okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna go to bed." So I go, and I go and lay on this couch because I wasn't gonna drive home
Yeah.
initially.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, I had it wasn't a relationship. This goes to my self-centeredness. There was a girl who I knew really liked me, and I did not like her at all. But I knew she would take my call at any time and talk to me. So if I was ever like bored or something and just needed someone to talk to, I would just call her, and it was awful. Like it was not great.
Yeah.
And I'd wake up and feel awful about myself because I'm like, man, like I'm being a bad person to this girl,
Yeah.
and I don't even like that. I don't like it in the process either. So I call her and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna drive home, and she's like, oh no, don't do that. And I'm like, yeah, no, I am.
Right.
So and like I didn't live super far away, and I don't know, I got home, like but like after that, the next day I'm like, man, like that's the bottom. I got something's got to change after that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to do that right away. My first thought that popped in my brain was like, I just gotta get like a good girl to be around. Like that's how it's gonna change it.
Yeah.
So
It's like a common. I
yeah, I'm
think.
like I don't know how to do this on my
problem.
own. I just need to find some girl,
Yeah.
and she'll help me. She'll fix me.
Yeah.
So I started trying to flirt with this one girl who is actually the granddaughter of the guy Doug that gave me the good advice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried talking to her for a while because I'm like maybe she'll fix me. She wasn't having it.
Yeah.
But like at this
She was
point
wise.
I'm knowing like she was extremely wise. Like
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
it was not great. but time keeps going on. I meet this girl at the county fair the week before I go to school. And actually, I met her because the night before they had like the pageant,
Yeah.
and me and my friends would always go to the pageants and rate the girls. Like, so
Like,
we're
your
sitting
own
up in
judges.
the bleachers and like, oh yeah, like that's my favorite one, and she was my favorite. So
10.
I'm messaging my other friend, and I'm like, because my one friend was in the pageant. I'm like, man, this girl was like she's it.
Oh yeah.
And then she's like,
Yeah.
oh no, you cannot date her. She's my friend. That's great. So I'm like,
oh,
okay.
You heard a no, and that kind of
well,
like,
no. What I heard was, I have a friend that is a friend with her. Now I've got a
oh.
connection.
You-
She
you
doesn't
were
want it to
sneaky.
happen.
You
She
were
doesn't want it to
sneaky.
happen. So I was hanging out with that one friend who knew her the rest of the week.
Mm.
And I spent as much time around this girl as I could. But I don't think she really liked me.
Mm.
One of the first times I met her, apparently, I don't remember this, but apparently one of the first things I ever said to her was like a church joke.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like making fun of.
Yeah,
church?
I was making fun of Christians, like was the joke.
Man.
And like, come to find out, her dad's a pastor. And it's
Oh,
like,
that's
ooh,
rough.
man,
That's rough.
man. But so we go back to school, and I don't message her or anything because I'm like, well, I don't know, I don't want to be like too needy.
Yeah.
Just insulted her dad.
Yeah, yeah, like
And her.
we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. But like, so then after that, back up. Also, I find out through conversations that she is roommates. I like not roommates, but like suite mates with the other nice girl that I was trying to talk to a couple months before.
Oh man, you're like getting in deep.
Yeah, so it's like, oh man, like this is this is a tricky situation.
And this is all in
Yeah.
efforts to like get
Yeah.
back on track.
Yeah, I'm trying to like
kinda.
I'm
To
like
find
I'm trying
fulfillment,
to get somewhere, and like I can feel that I need something, and in my brain I'm like I need a girl. That's what's gonna help me, and I need a good girl.
It's almost funny that you're in this like sticky situation because you're trying to like
Yeah.
do something good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're back in college, and I mean I'm just back in the same crowds instantly. I'm drinking. I'm not hanging out with this girl. They have this big thing called Fall Fest at WVU, which is
Okay.
like a big party.
Yep.
It's like a concert and stuff, and I remember getting super drunk with my friend. We walk over, like I had little plastic flasks that I snuck alcohol in, and
Mhm.
like I saw one of my friends there, and I was like sharing alcohol, and it was like a whole. Don't remember anything. It was rough. A few more parties. I remember at the end of one of the parties, I was. This is like a common theme this year. Like, I had a bathtub for the first time, right? 'Cause I was in the dorms freshman and sophomore
Yeah.
year.
Mm.
So junior year, I had a bathtub, and I'm like, while I'm drunk, everyone else went to sleep. I'm gonna take a bath. So I'm sitting in the
Okay.
bath, 2 a.m. And I DM the girl who I hadn't seen since the fair, or whatever.
Okay.
I'm like, because I had walked past her, and like she smiled at me, and
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, she likes me. She
Yeah,
smiled
it's
at
a
me.
smile, yeah.
She smiled at me. Okay.
She's not just
Okay.
friendly. She
Here we go. Here we go. DM'd her at like 2 a.m. I'm like, hey, how are classes going?
2 a.m. not
2
sus.
a.m. Like she is like the sweetest, most innocent woman. She did not notice, I don't think, that it was at 2 a.m. She texted me back the next day. Like, we had great conversation.
Hmm.
And one thing leads to another. We end up dating in September that year. So we came back to school in August. September, we start dating on like the 14th.
Okay.
Yeah, we like officially started dating the 14th. But I still wasn't a Christian at this point.
Mhm.
I was drinking significantly less
Okay.
because I was just hanging out with her and she didn't drink.
Got
So
it.
I wasn't like, I didn't make the decision to not drink.
Just the being in a different crowd, like how much
Yeah.
of a difference that makes.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
by association.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one thing leads to another. They keep talking about church, and I'm like, I really want her to invite me. I'm like, I'm not just gonna go to church, but like, I want
Yeah.
her to invite me to this to go. And they also went to like a student ministry thing called Chi Alpha. And she finally invites me to go to that before church, I think.
Okay.
Which they had like church services on like Thursday nights. So I go to that. And like I'm pretty quickly convinced. Like I was already a spiritual person. I have weird kind of pagan beliefs, but I was fairly like I was pretty susceptible to
Believing
idea
there's
of-
something.
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you still carrying like those pagan beliefs through college, or did they kind of drop when you went?
Oh, shoot. Edit that part. So I still had them to a degree.
Yeah.
I grown to the point where I believed that all religions were the same religion. Like I truthfully
Okay.
believed like
Yeah.
when God appeared to the Greeks, he appeared as a bunch of different gods, and then when God appeared to like the Buddhist religion, was just God appearing in different ways to different people. So
Okay.
Mhm.
I believe that every religion was the same deity, just acting different.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Which you can instantly tell that I didn't read the Bible.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it talks about like he doesn't change.
In the Old Testament, a ton of
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
idols and yeah. Okay.
yeah. So I was just kind of crazy, but I go into that environment. I instantly like day one, this guy comes up to me. This girl, she's like super energetic. She's like, "Oh my gosh, hi! You have to meet you gotta meet Sam and Ken. They're small group leaders. That you can join their small group."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like I have nothing better to do. I don't drink anymore. So like, what do I do with my time? I'll go hang out with these dudes once a week. And that was great for me.
Yeah.
Through that, I really got into the faith. I started digging deeper, and getting really, really involved, like instantly.
That's cool.
I still had the drinking and the porn addiction to a degree.
Yep.
And just slowly over time, things came up. So like, I don't honestly, the first like 3 months, I have no idea what my wife was doing with me. Like, I don't know why she didn't keep me out, like, of her life. And then every time, she told me this, like, going back, like, she would reach a point where she would go talk to her friend and it's like, hey, like, this porn addiction thing, like, I really hate it. I don't think I can stay with him like this. And then, like, the next day I would come and be like, hey, like, I really think God's telling me not to do this anymore. And like, it broke off right there. And then, like, with the drinking, the lowest, well, that's definitely not the lowest point, but, like, the last time that I remember, like, getting super drunk, I had a party, my now wife was there, I had a bunch of friends, and, like, they weren't drinking really, but I got very drunk.
Yeah.
And then I remember, like, I got to the point where I just felt so bad. I went and, like, got in my closet and was praying. Because I was just like, what am I doing? Like, and my wife came in, like, well, not my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
She came in and found me there. And, like, that was just like, why am I drinking now?
Yeah.
Like, so that took a little longer to break out of than I did with porn. But within, like, a few months, I wasn't getting drunk anymore.
That's still feels like a very like short timeline.
Yeah.
Where some like miraculous change.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I know a lot of people who have gone through trials like that who it's taken a lot longer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And God can do it in a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes him years though. And that doesn't mean God's not doing it.
Right.
And I'm grateful of that. So going forward from there, a couple months, so this was like right before COVID. This was the year COVID happened, like the next semester.
Yeah.
And I was diving into everything. I was signed up and fully prepared, having been saved for like a couple months. Spring break. I saved in October.
Okay.
Spring break, I was planning on going to a mission trip to India.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Like after just being saved, I was like, this is a
You
great
were
opportunity.
on fire.
Yeah, I was like, this is
Yeah.
gonna be great.
Yeah.
Now God stepped in and was like, hey, the day before we were gonna leave, the planes, like everything closed down. I'm like, you're not going, buddy. Like you're not.
Before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I literally had 2 bags packed because WVU had already closed. They're like, we're going all online.
Yeah.
I had 2 bags. I had a bag packed to go back to home with my parents, and I had a bag packed to go to India.
Wow.
So like I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I didn't end up going to India. But I went home and I started volunteering at the youth group here, off and on, whenever I was in this area. And ultimately, that's how I started coming to Hope Community Church,
Okay.
where we all met.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, there's probably a ton more details.
Yeah.
But for right now, I think that's about where I'm gonna leave it. I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
I got one question. What was, you said you got saved in October. What kind of environment was that? Was it just, was it at church? Was it with the Chi Alpha?
It was so I think the church and Chi Alpha to me were pretty interchangeable because the church at the time, everyone from Chi Alpha went to the church also.
Okay.
So it was
Like a
it was
local.
basically the same group. The Chi Alpha worked out of the church.
Yeah.
So like the Chi Alpha church like services were in the church, and like everything was in this one central church.
Yeah.
It's the Foundry Church in Morgantown. Little shout out. Hey.
Hey.
But yeah, so it was in that environment, and then I remember at first one thing I really struggled with was the idea of baptism. I was like, why do I need to do that?
Yeah.
Kind of deal. And the distinct moment I remember, this is like one of my, like, I don't specifically remember the exact minute I was saved,
Yeah.
but I remember this, like, when I was like, I need to get baptized. I was at a small group session, and we were talking about when Jesus just said, "Follow me."
Yeah.
And those two words, like, instilled on me, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here, I've been debating the baptism thing, I'm like, why do I
Yeah.
need to do that? It didn't make any sense. And I'm like, because Jesus did it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's-
follow
that's
me,
cool.
like, because Jesus did it. It doesn't matter
Perfect example.
to me, like, the why. If Jesus did it, I'm gonna do it too.
Yeah.
And that convicted me so much. I remember we talked about it. I went and like spent an hour outside praying in the snow, and like I signed up. There was baptisms
Wow,
2 weeks
awesome.
later at
Yeah.
the church, and it was like, this is perfect. So
God's timing. Man,
Yeah.
that's what I just think about is God's timing with your testimony. That's
I
so
know.
cool because I know a little bit of, well, now I know your testimony completely.
Yeah.
I know a little bit of Daniel's.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to talk about the other testimonies because I know we all had very different paths, but here we
Yeah.
are sitting
Yeah,
together.
I know.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
we chose
sharing,
different
Trip.
routes.
That is
Yeah.
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
I'm preparing the youth lesson for Sunday,
Oh.
and it's cool that you said because Jesus did it, follow me.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Romans 11, and the point I really want to drive home that stood out to me, and that you just said that is cool because we're going on the J.D. Greer video
Oh
series,
yes. Yep.
and he says, "Once saved, always following." Just talking about like, works don't save you, but why follow then? Well, it's your response to being
Yep.
saved because Jesus did these things. So
Mhm.
that's so cool.
That's
What a way to
awesome.
wrap it.
Yeah.
sweet.
All right.
And that's one thing I will say, if you don't mind. I'll that's one thing I love about that is the. It took me a while to realize that, and for someone to say like, "Hey, the same thing with you," and that is like, Jesus doesn't work on your time; He works on His time.
Yeah.
So it may not happen when you want it, but just seeing, hearing your experience in that, it sounded like he was trying to put you in places and you weren't just answering. It was just like he was giving you kind of some opportunities in that, and it's just
All the way back to freshman year
Yeah.
when you just had that
Yeah.
yeah,
hint
exactly.
of curiosity, right?
I was getting
Yeah.
those crew emails. I'd probably still get them if I had that email.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, then that's just awesome to see where it, you finally answered
Yeah.
and was like, I'm home.
Sweet.
So
Does that wrap it up, guys?
I think
Yeah,
we're
I
pretty
think
much
so.
Episode 1 of 1.
yeah, one
Episode
on one,
one.
looking for
Awesome.
many more.
Thank you for joining us on
The Ride
Ride
Home.
home.